Hello and welcome to Rando Rob. Each week on Rando Rob, I'll be showing and discussing one item from my large collection of collections. New shows appear every Monday, and throughout the week, I'll be adding older episodes of Rando Rob that were previously only available to my Patreon subscribers. You can watch episodes of Rando Rob on YouTube at youtube.com/Rob O'Hara. Just look for the Rando Rob playlist. Audio versions of the show are available on my website at podcast.robohara.com or through iTunes. Just search for Rando Rob. Thanks for watching or listening, and I hope you enjoy this vintage episode of Rando Rob. Anyway, let's get to the newest edition, and this is large, relatively large. This is Robby the Robot. You can see his picture right there. It wasn't a big reveal. It says at the top there, blazing lights, walking robot. And there, of course, across the bottom there, it says Forbidden Planet, light and sound walking, Robby the Robot. He has some buttons here on the front, and if you press the button,
transport you to the residence.
You can see old Robby the Robot, his head lights up, little things flash, lights on his chest light up, he talks, and if I were to remove him from this box, he would walk. I'm not set on leaving him in the box or removing him from the box. I just haven't decided yet. The box is in great condition. This is not as old as you would think. I mean, I don't know how old you think it is, but it's not very old. I'm looking here for a copyright. I don't see a copyright date on here, but I'm guessing this was made sometime in the 2000s. I mean, it's definitely not vintage or anything like that. On the back here, you can see a little bit more about Forbidden Planet and some of the features. It has motorized walking, you can see there, cosmic light and sound, and of course the spinning motion of different parts there. So, and this is all, this is Robby the Robot. So let's talk a little bit about Robby the Robot. Robby the Robot is a character, a robot, if you will, from the movie Forbidden Planet. Forbidden Planet was released, you know what, I should have opened, I should have checked to see what year it was. I know it's in the mid-50s, 56. Close that back down, 1956. And so the people of Earth, the Air Force, this commander sees a UFO, and then they get taken to the Forbidden Planet, and they run into Robby the Robot. If you've ever seen the movie poster of Forbidden Planet, it has Robby the Robot, and he is carrying this woman in his arms as he's walking like that, which is not a scene that ever happens. In the movie poster, it makes him look like a menacing bad robot, but Robby the Robot is very gentle and very nice and funny. And so I don't know about you, but when I was a kid, whenever I heard something or a character that shared my same name, there was always an instant connection. So when I was younger, up until middle school, I went by Robby. And so I know there was, oh gosh, the kid, I think the kid that played Cousin Oliver on Brady Bunch, I think he was Robby something. There weren't too many Robbys. There was Robin, like Robin Hood, and Roberts, but there weren't too many Robbys. And so to have Robby the Robot, now I spelled my name Robbie, and Robby the Robot is Robby. But, as a kid, you kind of got used to that. I remember getting those little license plates. They would have little license plates. You could go to the store and they were like novelty plastic license plates that you could put on the back of your bicycle. And I would always find Robert or Robby, and it would be Robby. So, you just took what you could get. I absolutely did not care for the name Robert. There was a kid in my neighborhood who was Robert, and his dad's name was Robert, and I just did not want to be Robert. So I wanted to be. So I was always Robby as a kid until eventually I decided that sounded like a kid's name. I wanted to be grown up once I got to ninth grade and became Rob. But anyway, so Forbidden Planet stars Leslie Nielsen. If you've never seen it, it is his first movie, and it's very dramatic and serious role. It is not a comedy. And so I remember I didn't see Forbidden Planet, until I was probably a teenager. And so it was kind of shocking. I'm sure I didn't see Forbidden Planet until after I had seen the Naked Gun movies. So to see Leslie Nielsen in a serious role, I'd seen Airplane and stuff for sure. So to see him in a more serious role was a little bit of a shock to me as a kid. Let's see, what else do I know about Robby the Robot? I do know that a few years ago, the costume, the Robby the Robot, the original costume, was sold at auction, and it sold for a little over $5 million, and that made it the most expensive movie prop ever sold. It is considered to be a movie prop. But my dad grew up reading science fiction novels. He was is a big fan of science fiction. He read a lot of science fiction books and watched a lot of science fiction movies growing up. He was born in the late 40s, so in the 50s and 60s, he was big into all the wave of science fiction movies, and that was kind of something that sculpted him as a person. And so I picked that up from him, and so I'm sure it was his love of Forbidden Planet. He loves Forbidden Planet. He loves This Island Earth with the Metaluna mutant, the big blue-headed alien guy. And he loved all that stuff. And so I keep saying past tense. I just don't know that he still watches those movies, but yeah, so he would definitely turn me on to that stuff. And so I'm sure that's where I got exposed to Robby the Robot originally. And so it's just kind of always been a thing, a character that I related to. So the guy who designed Robby the Robot also designed the robot on Lost in Space. And so if you look at the picture there of Robby the Robot, you can see some similarities, like the see-through glass dome on top and the little things like the little antenna that spins around, those little pieces, and even the hands are somewhat similar in design. So that's kind of why Robby the Robot also looks like the robot from Lost in Space. About a month ago, my wife and I went to a town that's about an hour away, and we had breakfast there. And this town is known for having a lot of antique stores, some thrift stores, but a lot of antique stores. It's like this little old town out of the way that people go to for antiquing and things like that. And so we went there, and while we were there, we found a antique store. I can usually tell within about 4 seconds if I'm going to like an antique store or not. And we walked in, and there were quilts and furniture, and I just went, oh boy, not going to be for me. But the lady said, hey, don't forget to check out the basement. And so we went down, and all of the stuff in the basement was vintage style toys. A lot of McDonald's things, a lot of 70s and 80s, a lot of Star Wars and Star Trek kind of things. And none of it super valuable or rare, anything like that. A lot of, that mid 90s Star Wars stuff, the Power of the Force, a lot of that kind of stuff, and newer Star Trek things. And I did buy a small Garfield, like one of those little tiny Garfield PVC figures, and a few other things that they had laying around. But as we were towards the back, there was like a whole booth of science fiction stuff, again with Star Wars and Star Trek, a lot of that kind of stuff. And that's where we found this Robby the robot. And I think it was $40, I think is what I paid for it, which is more than I thought I would pay for a Robby the robot. I liked Robby the robot as a kid. It's not I don't own any other Robby the robot merchandise at all. No action figures, no posters, no anything. So it's not like a character that I sought out to add to the collection. But when I saw him in the box, I thought the box was in good shape. I like the packaging. I like things that can be displayed in the box or taken out of the box. Again, I'm not saving this for the box. Oh, there's the picture from the movie poster, as the evil looking Robby the robot. But look at his face in this poster, how it's almost that red evil. And then look at the actual costume over there to the side. You can see that they took a little bit of liberty, and then he is carrying this woman around, which again is a scene that just simply doesn't happen in the movie. I didn't even notice it's the same artwork that's there on the front. But let's see, it says part chef, chauffeur, servant, and strongman. Robby the robot won audiences of Forbidden Planet with his charming personality and arsenal of futuristic abilities. Indeed, Robby was everything anyone wanted in a robot. Strong enough to topple a building, smart enough to speak 187 different languages, able to replicate emeralds and hors d'oeuvres, and above all, selflessly obedient. Now, with the help of Trendmaster's registered technology, Robby is motorized with sound and light up function command, just as if you were Dr. Morbius himself. Yes, Dr. Morbius was the owner of Robby the robot. So I will tell you that multiple times in my life, I have gone on a shopping adventure. Like I have gone somewhere to an antique mall, or I've gone somewhere like this was a trip. And I bought something just because I didn't want to come home empty-handed. And so this is borderline one of those purchases. One of those things where, gosh, we've already made the trip. It was an hour drive. We've gone around. I didn't see anything else that I loved. And then I thought, I wouldn't mind owning this. So that's why in my head, I think this is more of like a $20 kind of purchase. Although I looked up on eBay and it looks like they're selling for like $70 to $80. So it's not like I overspent at $40. I don't know that I'll get $40 worth of enjoyment out of it, but it's definitely going to go back there on probably the top of the shelf. The Star Wars figures that are up there, those are modern. Those are Jakks. I think Jakks specific 18-inch figures, and they're 10 years old, but I have all my 12-inch vintage Star Wars figures and some other stuff, so that's all got to fit up there somehow. I don't know how I'm going to make that work. And those are not all my 12-inch figures. I have like 15 more, or 18-inch figures. I have like 15 more than that. So what are you going to do? There's just a finite amount of space. I'll have to figure it out. But somewhere up there, I will have to make room for Robby the robot. So if you are on spring break, or your children are on spring break this week, then I hope you guys have a great vacation. I hope you enjoyed last week's episode of Sprite Castle, where I covered I keep saying Crazy Taxi, because when I did my stream, I played Space Taxi followed by Crazy Taxi, two good taxi games. But I hope you enjoyed Space Taxi. And once we get back from vacation, I'll be back next weekend, and I will have to start cranking out content to meet my deadlines. So while I'm gone, I'll be working on scripts for You Don't Know Flack. And then, of course, right after that, we will have Like a DOS and the next episode of Cactus Flax. And I should have all of those out before the end of March. So, as always, thank you guys for your support. I really appreciate it. I had domain renewals pop up this month. And I think I had 4 or 5 domain names, and those are about $10 each. And so that came right off the top, off the Patreon money that I leave sitting there. Anything that has to do with the web hosting or any of the fees that come with the show, that's where it comes from. So thank you guys for helping me do that. Hope you guys have a great week, and I will be talking to you all soon.